Okay, so geometry lesson 7.6. This is finishing chapter 7, which is your rigid transformations. Okay, remember there is a reflection, a rotation, and a translation. Okay, in 7.6 we're looking at patterns, specifically a freeze pattern. And a freeze pattern is a type of border pattern. So what that means is it's going to extend left and right so that the pattern can be mapped onto itself by a horizontal translation. Okay. Essentially, it's like if you're putting a border in a room, right? Can I take a stencil, put it down, paint it, and then do something to that stencil and just move it over to get the next image in my pattern, okay? Transformations that can produce a freeze pattern are simply a translation, and we use T. A rotation of just 180 degrees, nothing less, nothing more. A reflection in a horizontal line. A reflection in a vertical line. And a horizontal glide reflection. Okay, and these are the letters we use to describe them, okay? So if I take this stencil, okay, and I use it to create this pattern, imagining these are like the same width and everything, okay? What kind of transformations do I have? Right? So this would be described as a horizontal translation because I simply took this, okay, and I moved it over. Okay, or a reflection in a vertical line. So here's my vertical line. It means I took this and I reflected it here, or you could have a line inside the image and say this half reflected here, this half reflected here, and I get my next image, okay? Right, imagine I essentially have the word high, right, in block letters. So H, I, okay, and then I reproduce it. So H, I, and again, okay. This is simply going to be a horizontal translation because 180 rotation would essentially mean I flip it 180 degrees, so like this. Well, it's backwards and this little piece is underneath, so there's no rotation, okay? If I were to reflect it, okay, kind of see, it would be backwards. So that doesn't work. Horizontal line, again, this piece would be underneath, so I don't have it, okay? All right, then O in block letters, okay? What kind of transformations do I have? And then another one, I just ran out of space. Okay? First, there's a horizontal translation because I start here and I just slide over. Okay? And then there would be a horizontal glide reflection because you would reflect it in the horizontal line here. So top comes to bottom, bottom comes to top, and then you would glide it over. Okay? So frieze patterns can be classified in one of the following ways. They can just be a translation. Okay? There can be a translation and a rotation of 180, translation and a horizontal glide reflection, translation and a vertical line reflection, a translation, horizontal line reflection, and a horizontal glide reflection, translation, rotation, vertical line reflection, horizontal glide reflection, or all of them. There's no other combinations because if you start combining some of these, you produce another one. Okay? So these are the 7 categories to classify a frieze pattern with. They all have the translation. Okay? So to narrow it down, the first thing you want to say is, do they have a reflection? If they do, they have to be one of these 3. If they don't, then it's one of these 4. And then look for lines of reflection. Okay? All right. So here's my pattern. Okay? These are kind of like waves touching, okay? How would I classify this, right? Well, to begin with, I know it has a translation because they all do. Then, is there some sort of rotation of 180 degrees? So if I put a spot here and flip just this, okay? So I'm looking at essentially this diamond and then this, like, part of the wave and this part of the wave. Okay, if I rotated that 180 degrees, would I get the exact same thing? And I would. So I've got a rotation there. Then are there any lines of reflection? Okay, well, horizontal line, right? The top reflects to the bottom. So there is a horizontal line of reflection. Okay, then since there's that horizontal line, there has to be a vertical line and the glide reflection. All right, if I just have a pattern created by a bunch of smiley faces, okay, let's imagine they're all the same size, but I can't draw, so they look like they're different sizes. Okay, that's how it's created. Okay, first thing is there's a translation because there always is. Is there a rotation of 180 degrees that goes this way? I'd have an upside down frowny face. Okay, there is no rotation involved. So then it can be a translation and not a rotation. I just said there was no rotation. A glide, a vertical line reflection, or horizontal and a vertical. Okay, so horizontal would be a here, right? So I would have to reflect over that or even in the smiley face. Again, you're going to get an upside down frown. So that's not going to work. Okay, same here. There's no glide reflection because I did not reflect in a horizontal line and then move it over. Okay, vertical line. Is there a vertical line in there? that reflects one to the other? Okay, and there is. So it's not what is in my notes, but there is that vertical line of reflection. Okay, you can put it either right in the image itself or even see it here, right? I just reflected it over. So these are your border patterns, freeze patterns, okay? One thing to note if you are taking your Chapter 7 test, okay? These here are talking about the flags. You have to keep in mind color. That's why this is slightly darker than this, okay? The flag of Ireland, these are 3 different colors. In Iraq, the top and the bottom stripes are different colors. Puerto Rico, okay, these are, I think it's red and white, but either way, they're different colors. So you have to take that into consideration when you're taking that test. Okay, so that is the end of Chapter 6, or Chapter 7, not 6.